Welcome back, MTG Joe here, and while we wait for the ladder to reset on the Mythic rank, trying to hold our top 1200 position, we're going to be playing some more budget decks. Going to finish up this series. I've done mono black, mono white, mono green so far devotions, so let's hit up with the mono blue devotion list, and then we'll get to mono red to finish up the mono color decks for budget picks. So all my budget decks on Arena generally have the caveat of 10 or less mythic and rare wildcards. Try to keep it as low cost as possible, and then try to have the cards that would be format staples for the most part. So even if you craft for something like this deck, you can always use it in other decks. So this deck is built around my favorite card from Theros, and probably my favorite card in Standard right now, Thassa Deep Dwelling. So this is a 4-mana 6/5 god, indestructible. It's only a creature if your devotion, so number of blue symbols in the casting cost of your permanents is 5 or greater. Then at the beginning of your end step, you get to exile a creature you control and then return it to the battlefield. So anything with an enter the battlefield style effect, you get to double up on those. And then for 4 mana, you can also tap another target creature. So what we're trying to do with this deck is basically generate a ton of mana through Nyx Lotus, which 4 mana artifact that enters tapped, and then you can choose a color and add an amount of mana equal to your devotion to that color. So with cards like Corridor Monitor or Kiora, Behemoth, Beckoner, you can untap permanents you control, so you can double up on these effects. So if, basically casting multiple things per turn and building up your devotion. And then what we have in terms of our mana sinks, we have Gadwick, which we can draw a bunch of cards. So this is one of the rares in the deck. So it's a 3 mana X, where you can pay X and draw that many cards. Then whenever you cast a blue spell, you can tap target permanent an opponent controls. Non-land permanent. So you could draw a bunch of cards that way, and you could draw a bunch of cards with Spectral Sailor with the mana sink. So it's just a good way to keep our deck humming. You can also tap down like a bunch of your opponent's creatures and effectively fog them each turn. So the rest of the deck kind of running you through. For budget constraints, we don't have Brazen Boar, we don't have Cavalier of draw a bunch of cards, Blue Cavalier. Cavalier Gales, and we don't have the new Thassa's Oracle. So what we were playing is Omen of the Sea. It's a 2-mana enchantment, so it has a point of devotion. It comes in at instant speed, so it works nicely with Gadwick, and then it can draw us a card, and then when we need to, we can always pop it off to scry. We have a couple copies of Alirios Enraptured. When it enters, you create a 3/2 token. Itself stays tapped as long as you have the token, but every turn you can make a 3/2. So with Thassa blinking it, you get some utility there. Cloudkin Seer is another way for us to just draw some cards, and then Frost Lynx is a way for us to tap our opponent's permanents, and then they don't untap during their next untap step. So we can kind of lock down their biggest thing that way. We also have Arcanist Owl, so this is 4 mana. It's hybrid mana, but it counts for 4 for either white or blue. And then basically when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards, and you can put an artifact or enchantment into our hand. So that can find Thassa, it can find Nyx Lotus, it can find Omen of the Sea, and it can find Corridor Monitor. And then finally our last rare in the deck is Agent of Treachery. So in the non-budget build, we played 2 of these, but basically every turn you can steal something with Thassa. Mana base wise is very simple. You count to 24 islands and you pop them in there. Bonus points for the John Avon full arts. And then finally, sideboard wise, deals with the graveyard, Gruel things, big mana things, so like any of the ramp decks, stuff like that. Negates versus control matchups, versus decks with a lot of direct removal. Callaphe is a legendary enchantment creature. She may have a spot in the main board, but basically its power is equal to your devotion to blue, and it kind of gives you their opponent a tax effect. All their direct targeted spells cost 1 more to cast when targeting your creatures or enchantments. Mystical Disputes versus blue-based matchups or control. And then Narset is against heavy card draw decks, Hydro Crisis decks. Works really well against the Simic ramp decks because it shuts off Uro and Hydro Crisis. So they kind of lose that card advantage engine. So we're going to run this through. I'll do a couple best of 3s, and then a couple best of 1s, depending on how long the games go. Let's just go traditional standard play. I was at like 999. I'm at 1002. So probably this sometime gonna have to play some more games to finish in the top 1200, and we'll see how that goes. I've already featured those decks on the channel, so don't necessarily want to play them so soon. But if I'm gonna run the games, then I'll probably stream it anyways. So we're up against Overlord Samper. See how the deck plays out. So as we wait for our opponent, if you do enjoy the content, you're catching this on YouTube, if you can, hit that subscribe button or drop a like or a comment on the video. All are free and easy ways to help support the channel. Just let them know that you came by. And then if you are catching this on Twitch or want to know when we go live, you can always do so by hitting that follow button. Another free and easy way to help out. We got a decent engine going, and we have like the combo pieces. So I'll use the term combo loosely here. You're not going to outright win, but it's just a lot of value. So some sort of ramp, maybe Sultai. That's actually very good for us. It gives us a play this turn. And it can start adding to Devotion as well. There have been a couple Sultai control decks going around. I think we're content with the number of lands we have. And this is part of the reason why I liked Omen here. Oh, that's very good. So the question here is I can go Thassa this turn. Nyx Lotus next turn, untap it, add 2 mana. Can't really do that much right now, so I think we just go the Alirios plan here. It lets us have something to start pressuring our opponent. Because I want to try to do this where we can have a really explosive turn. Opponent might have a removal spell here, Death Sprout. That's actually fine that they targeted the token. Oh, that's just because they have Nisa. Well. Thassa can make a token every turn that can block their lands. Part of the issue without without Brazen Borrow, it's going to be a bit harder to take down Nisa. You can't bounce it. So no attacks here. We'll blink. And now we can get this value train going. Our devotion to blue is currently 3. So next turn I think I'm going to set up the Kiora Omen play. And then that way I can untap the Nyx Lotus the turn we play it and then generate a lot of mana. We're also dead if they just have something like Hydroid Crisis. Or like severely behind. We might want some of the like prison enchantment style effects. The like tap a creature type of effects. Okay, so with Thassa, I can tap the Hydroid Crisis each turn. So I'm just going to keep its devotion higher, or its thing higher. No attacks here. Just end the turn. Create another 3/2 here. I'm hoping they just go face here, or at the very least it blocks them for it, or like it makes them focus on that for a turn. We can do a decent job with holding these lands off, but we eventually need to start pressuring this Nisa. Opponent having a full grip of cards doesn't help here. So this is a Aether Gust. Yeah. Let's see what we draw into here. Corridor Monitor lets us untap the Nyx Lotus. Ooh, but we're down to land. So casualties kind of sucks. See if they attack in with the swamp. So Arcanist Owl will turn on Thassa, gets another Arcanist Owl. Let's just get some more utility out of this. So we can soak up 5 damage here. Sorry, we take 5. We can block, block, block. 5, 9. They have lethal if they just attack with all. Okay. So a bit of a slower hand. Krasis is going to be something hard main board for us to deal with. So in this matchup, Aether Gusts are good, Disdainful Strokes, the Narsets, and the Disputes. So we're going to kind of go into more of a control-y shell. I don't love the Nyx Lotus plan, to be honest, in this matchup. They've shown casualties of war, so it's a bit of something that we could succumb to. And I also don't think we want to tap out. Maybe we play 1 copy that we can find with the Owl. Alirios was pretty good there. Gave us something we could copy each turn. Narset's good at slowing down the opponent. Aether Gust fine. I could probably cut down 1 Owl here, just because there's less for us to dig towards in the deck. Let's try it like this. Heavy removal decks are probably going to be a little bit of an issue for this. So this hand's actually really good. We get to play all at instant speed. And we have Omen of the Sea to draw us a card, and then Sailor, once we hit our 4th mana, also draws us cards. So wait till after their scry so that we don't give them the information. I like both of these, to be honest. Just go Disdainful here. So I'm going to hold off on the Narset until I can hold up Mystical Dispute, I think. Or do we just jam it this turn? There's a likelihood they also have Dispute up, so I'm going to wait. Sticking Narset will be very good. I'm going to let this resolve. So I'm actually not going to this turn because they can Nisa. In retrospect, I probably should have disputed this because it keeps them a turn off Nisa. They can Death Sprout here. I think we let this resolve. We got to play more of like a control tempo game this matchup. So I'm going to pop this now. Cloudkin and Agent. Again, I think we keep both of these. Everything I'm concerned with. Big mana plays, Disdainful Stroke can hit it. I'm actually not going to minus here. I want to draw the Agent, and I also don't want to make it so that Paradise Druid could take this down. So let's Cloudkin Seer here, see what we draw. Aether Gust is great. So I'll trade with the Druid if they attack. Keeping Narset alive hampers their ability to grow. We just passed the turn here. Let's let them stick something down. They'll scry here. They cast Nisa. They don't. Kind of want to steal this Ventress maybe, just to set up our scry. So this is where Spectral Sailor would have been good. We could have just drawn an extra card each turn. Gadwick's interesting. Hey Forensic, how's it going? They dispute here. So I could dispute their dispute and then dispute their dispute when they pay. It's going well. Testing out some budget decks today. I think Gadwick, if we can get it down, is a good way for us to control our opponents. Okay, so it's just the stack of disputes. So our hands are basically in a stalemate of who had the most disputes. Narset coming down is pretty bad now. It unlocks their Hydrate Crisis. And we don't have an ability to Aether Gust. So I think we're kind of stuck on this one. Yeah, just gonna concede there. That's probably a really rough matchup. Hand Disruption and Removal against Critical Mass deck. I'm just gonna give Arena a quick reset and we'll be right back with it. We'll run another best of 3. That one went pretty quick. So like we weren't necessarily dead at that exact moment on board, but we were out of resources. They got 2 sticky threats, and with Gadwick they could keep tapping our stuff down. Hydrate Crisis is enough of a clock that we can't really lock. If it would be different if we had like Thassa down where we could have pumped that mana. But it kind of cascaded there. You did get to see like Narset did a good job with Gadwick there, that they couldn't really pump the mana into it or the Hydrate Crisis until they got it off the board. Opponent goes first. We have 2 turns to draw a land. Let's try this out. Perfect. Playing against Recognize, who might be on the same devotion plan as us. So Omen here is going to be trying to find a land. So opponent concedes. Without knowing what we're playing against, we'll put in Mystical Disputes. And, okay. You know what, they might have thought we were Flash. And they probably just didn't want to play around counter spells. We'll run it back. That's the only thing. Like normally I play ranked for testing these out, but with us being so close to top 1200, I don't want to punt the rating necessarily. Sand is great. It gets the job done. So we have an option if we need to be an aggressor. We have an option if we want to go to long game. This could be a couple things. Haven't seen as much fires on the ladder or in play right now. Grixis. Grixis Cruxa. So I'm probably going to go Alirios here. I'm going to want the extra bodies. Almost. This deck will probably have a harder time dealing with multiple threats. I guess they could ritual here the following turn, so maybe we just go Omen of the Sea. Both cards replace themselves, which is nice. That came down at a great point. So they could have Bedevil. Grixis does have answers to artifacts that they could potentially play main. It's fine. Get rid of Omen of the Sea. Like, opponent's been attacking our hand. But they haven't really done much otherwise. We've drawn pretty poorly. So like Ritual of Soot kind of knocks us out. Okay, so we took down Grixis there. Probably, so their big plays. This is actually interesting. Where do we want to go with this? I think to get Croxa, we want that. And then these Cephalids would be good. Probably the Mystical Disputes. Frost Lynx doesn't seem that good. Alirios is 2 bodies. Kiora's probably not the best here either. I want to be the aggressor in this matchup. So probably just go like that. Narset, they're not really drawing cards. This could kind of be a tempo-y play. Maybe we want the Disdainful Strokes instead of a couple Corridor Monitors. Oh, I just took these out. Let's bring in the Because they go Nicol Bolas. Let's do a split, a negate, and that. They play Lazav to copy the Croxus here. They'll probably play Bedevil. They saw the artifact, so they'll probably bring in something there. They could bring in Fry, but nobody really plays Fry. They could bring in Mystical Dispute, which we have our own Mystical Disputes for. This hand doesn't really do much. Okay, this hand's better. Basically everything in our hand this game creates card advantage. So probably Omen of the Sea would be my guess. They take Gadwick. It's the better like long-term play. So let's see what we have on top before making that decision. "24 lands might be too much for this deck. No value here, but it's a 1/4. I'm just going to jam this. They could have Mystical Dispute. Nah, they got it. But they're more likely on 3 to have an answer, and against this deck it's not safe to have cards in our hand. Let's just get rid of that. So Corridor Monitor just doing chip damage here. I'm going to hold this land just in case they decide to down tick on Davriel. I want to keep this Nyx Lotus in play. Okay, so they have Fenlurker as well. So it's really just like a Grixis discard deck. They got 4 cards, including Croxa in the graveyard. Interesting. They might want to, like if I was them, I might prioritize just blocking here. Because you could get to Croxa faster, and I don't really have a clean answer to that. That's cool. So they got enough for Croxa next turn. So I want to set up my draw here. Agent's not bad. This is basically just a redraw with flying. We can probably race Croxa. Since Croxa will come down anyways, force us to discard it. But they're dead in the air, so they need to answer our board. This has been really good in the deck. Yeah, that's fine. You got a 6/6. I take 3 damage. You take 5 in the air. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So 1-1 with the deck. How are we doing ranked? 1006. So let's play some best of 1. People usually ask how the decks fare. So let's give them video and kind of tangible feedback. So for the mono red build, I know with all the other ones I've been focusing around building around the gods. I actually think for the mono red version you don't want to build around Purphoros. Purphoros kind of leads to a different type of build around like big kind of swingy things. Sounds sweet. Sailor into Omen into tap or draw. This could be White Weenie. I'm actually gonna go Corridor Monitor. No, I think we gotta hit the Lion drop. Because Frost Lynx can be a good kind of deterrent here. Or even Alirios creates a couple bodies to trade with. We attack because we're not going to block here. I want both lands on top, please and thank you. So I think we just tap the Linden down. They likely only attack in with Daxos this turn. So I'm going to take this damage. I'm going to Arcanist Owl this turn, trying to find Thassa. Because with Frost Lynx it lets us lock down creatures. And then next turn I can play out 2 spells. Okay. So I can also... So I can't quite Nyx Lotus and block there. So they gain a lot of life here. I think we just take the free blocks this turn, like this. What the hell is this? Well, that was a blowout. Phalanx Tactics. Target creature you control gets +2. Each other creature you control gets +1. Cards I was not expecting to have to play around today. Yeah. Our board state would have been a bit better had we got that block as expected. I think we were dead if we didn't block, so they outjanked us that one. Holy shit, Kobe Bryant died. So we have the Frost Lynx lock. I feel like best of one's just going to be littered with mono white aggro and mono red aggro. So this Pridemate's just like never getting untapped. So no attacks here. So next turn I'm just going to turn on Thassa with Gadwick. And then Spectral Sailor to tap down probably the Vampire and then trade with the Healer Hawk. Oh, that's not cool. So let's draw one here. Just pass the turn. At combat, we can flash this in, tap you. I think we just take these trades. What's with all these like janky spells that are coming out from our opponents? So this is the one downside with mono blue. You don't get real like removal options. So like here we're just trying to stay alive. And then like Brazen Borer would be good because you could block the concave. Block here. So there might just be too much aggro. It doesn't matter. The problem is we're not really progressing our board at all without Thassa. If I was them, I would just attack, yeah. So I'm kind of like stuck blocking like this. Yeah. This is